All right, welcome back. Welcome back to the studio. We're gonna work on this floral. I'm gonna move my porcupines. I've been drawing animals in the evening for fun. So I'm gonna move these. I have not done a floral in a while, and so you have to bear with me as I try to literally try to get my bearings on what I'm gonna do. I do have this out as a resource. This is a book called Draw 500 Fabulous Flowers. It's by Lisa Congdon. It's a Quarry Press, and all it is are literally flowers, like different kinds of flowers drawn. But I like to use this as a reference because it just helps me remember shapes, like, oh, right, yeah, that's a shape of a flower. Okay. And so that's why I sort of flip through it. And if I'm painting and I flip through it, it's like, that's why. It's like, oh, yeah, that's an interesting shape. I mean, it'll never look like any of these shapes, but it's just helpful to have something to be like, right, okay, those are flower shapes. Not that, we all know what flowers look like, but you forget. And I don't have any in the house today. It is, fall. So our garden flowers are gone. And so, yeah, anyway, let's see what we can do. This might be more of an abstract flower thing anyway, so that's okay. And it's just play. This is just paper. And it's just to get me back into the flow of doing a floral. So that's part of it. I've got all my paint out, and I'm so happy you're here. I'm so happy you're here. So how I'm gonna start is I have this very small piece of chalk. I think you can see. And I'm just gonna draw it out with the chalk, and then we'll start painting. So there are 3 layers of paint on this piece, and so now we're gonna do this layer, and we'll see what we think. Okay, I think we have the drawing, which might be hard to see. I get that because of the chalk, but this will give us a start. And what I'm going to start with is this very large vase-like thing, I think. And then, and also maybe cut away some of this, figure out what we want to do on the background, and then cut into it. I think I might use that titanium buff in the background. So let's try that. Let's try a little bit of that and see what that looks like. I'm going to add a little bit of gesso, which is kind of unusual probably, but I want to try to get a little bit better coverage. And we'll probably go over this with paint, but just so we can really see What really makes the painting where you start to really see it is when I get the background in, right? You can kind of see what I'm trying to do. But the way to do that is to really obliterate this, what we have going on right now. Let's put that vase in too, and I'm thinking I'm going to do a Payne's gray on that. So let's get that in. And I will get that, let's see if we can get some sort of table. Tricky. We'll go ahead and use this teal to start that. You can see I'm using this really big brush. This is a Hog's Bristle brush, size 6, Simply Simmons. It's from Blick, and these are relatively new, and I really like it. I really like it. The edges are good. It's easy to hold. It's lightweight. Some of these brushes can get really heavy, which is actually harder. Then it becomes harder to work with. So yeah, I am liking it. I'm liking it a lot. Okay, I know it still looks like a hot mess. I know it looks like a hot mess, but that's okay. That's sort of the initial part. I kind of have to let that dry. So let's give that just a minute. We'll let that dry, and then I'll come back. Okay, actually, we'll just let this dry. If we get to it today, that's fine. It doesn't matter. Let's go ahead and do that to the other canvas we worked on last time. Yeah, I totally forgot. So let me put this to the side. Because we have this one, and I can do the same thing. Let's do the same thing here. Let's sketch out. I have an idea of what I think I want that to look like. So let me find my chalk. Same thing, gonna use just this little piece of chalk, and we'll sketch out. Gonna go ahead and do a table here. Again, I really am into this very fat vessel. Table a little bit there. And then for this one, I mean, I really do see like flower shapes. I knew doing this that we would see some really pretty flower shapes emerge out of this. So what's different about this one is we have not added the green, which might come back to bite us when we finally get to that. But for now, that's totally fine. It's totally fine. Let's see, what color? Whew. I think to go around these shapes, I'm just going to go straight gesso, and then we can worry about a color. I think that will help. We'll just go straight. So gesso is just paint with chalk mixed in it, basically. I'm sure there's a more detailed explanation of that. But when you're painting, I like to use it to just go over, you know, just take out what I don't want. And I do so many layers of paint that the gesso it's fine. I have a little bit of blue in here from the aqua, but that's okay. Who knows, maybe the background will end up being a blue color. This will just help us to see what we're trying to do here. So, I'm not going to lie, this has been a challenging week. You know, a lot of hopes kind of smashed for us in our household. But one of the things that I have learned on my own personal healing journey is that this is part of showing up. And so I actually really appreciate that I'm now doing this with you, because I even have more reason to show up. You know, I for those that don't know, I do community development, which is why on midweek there are other videos that are not art related, that are personal, professional, community development, all the range of that. And then on Sunday I paint in the studio with you. But those other videos are because I do community work and I want to share about that work, and so I use this platform. And although, you know, YouTube doesn't love that, they don't love that I mix. They want you to be one thing, you know. If you love toasters, you just talk about toasters all day. But you know, it's my channel, I can do what I want. So if those don't interest you, don't watch them. No big deal. It's fine. But if you're interested, you go look at it. But in those videos, I just share a little bit about my process and my life and the skills and the tools that I've learned. And one of those skills was actually doing art. So when you are sad or in grief or healing from anything, art is a huge part of that. Art is a huge part of that. So it will become more and more important to me to just continue to make this promise to myself to show up here in my studio. And so I just wanted to say thank you to you, because you're helping me to do that. So yeah, thanks. And we will paint. We're going to paint. We'll be painting. Who knows what we'll do with those paintings? I always wonder that. What am I going to do with all this? But that doesn't matter today. That doesn't matter today. So I actually think I might want this to be the titanium buff. So I'm going to wait for this gesso to dry. Then we will paint this center part, the vessel part, with gesso, and then paint that with the titanium buff. But we can go ahead and do this table, and maybe, oh, so many choices. Let's see. I think it might be good. I think I'm going to go ahead and do the Payne's Gray on that too. So I don't have to use the gesso when I use like a color like this. It's when I want those lighter colors that it becomes more of a problem. It just can't cover all this paint. Also, so one of these is on paper, one of these is on canvas. This is canvas. And I remember why I love painting on canvas so much as I paint this. Do you have a preference? Do you prefer to paint on paper? Do you prefer to paint on canvas? Do you paint on wood? A lot of people paint on panels of wood. And so I'm curious about what you prefer and why. I forgot. The brush slides better over on the canvas. The brush marks are better. Yeah, I see why. I mean, I like paper. I do. I feel freer on paper because it doesn't feel as precious. Um, but I remember now why I like painting on canvas. So yeah, okay, so we got that one started. Yeah, are you seeing it? Like, tell me in the comments that you see kind of what I'm doing, um, and like how we got there. So I'll have to let this dry too. And so this really as far as we're going to be able to go. But yeah, I do. I want to know if you understand like sort of where my process is going and how I'm doing these paintings. And this is fun. I have to admit, you know, there's a video on the way back that I did a while ago that's like, am I an intuitive painter? I think I am. I do think I have that. I think that that's part of this. Like, I'm drawing out the shapes as opposed to forcing the shapes. I do both. I draw, you know, I draw, but also I I love this process where I'm not really sure and I'm just trying to see what happens. So this one will dry and we'll take it further next week. We'll take it further and then this one will dry. And I may work on this one a little bit just because I need something to do. But you can follow along on that, by the way. I try to post things like that. There's two places. On my Instagram, which is just Jackie Wolven on my Instagram, or in the community tab on YouTube. If you're not familiar, there's this community tab. If you go to my channel and you click community, I post photos there and you can see some of the just my life. Actually, I post other things there too. So you get to see sort of like this life that I live. Anyway, I hope you're doing well, and I'm just so happy that you're here and that I can be here with you and we can do this together. And I'll see you next Sunday.